Over Czechoslovakia, April 18, 1945. A B-17 Flying Fortress returning from a bombing run over Kolin is running out of fuel. The alternative airfield in France is fogged in. Zero visibility. Hundreds of planes are circling the same stretch of countryside. Some of them are already going in. The engines are dying, one by one. In the co-pilot seat sits a 20-year-old kid from Mission, Texas. His hands are steady. His face shows nothing. His name is Tom Landry. Now, freeze that image. 27 years later, January 16, 1972, New Orleans, Super Bowl VI. The Dallas Cowboys are dismantling the Miami Dolphins 24-3. Over 80,000 people are screaming. Cameras sweep the sideline. And there he is, Tom Landry, standing perfectly still in his signature fedora, arms folded, face expressionless. The broadcaster leans into his microphone and says, "Tom Landry, ice cold as always." But here's what that broadcaster didn't know. That stillness wasn't natural. It wasn't a personality quirk. It wasn't a coaching affectation. It was forged, in fire, over occupied Europe, at 20 years old. And it started not with football, but with a telegram. To understand Tom Landry, the coach, you have to understand Tom Landry, the brother. Mission, Texas, 1924, a small border town in the South Texas heat. Tom grows up the son of a mechanic, playing quarterback at Mission High School, leading his team to a 12-0 season. He earns a football scholarship to the University of Texas, 18 years old, the whole world mapped out in front of him. Then, September 1942 happens. His older brother Robert, the one he idolized, was ferrying a B-17 to England when the plane went down over the North Atlantic, close to Iceland. For weeks, the family waited. They ate Thanksgiving dinner in near silence. Then, just before Christmas, 1942, the final telegram arrived. Robert Landry was gone. Tom does not hesitate. He enlists in the Army Air Forces, not the infantry, not the Navy, in the air, in the same aircraft that took his brother. Because that is who Tom Landry is. 493rd Bomb Group, 860th Bombardment Squadron, 8th Air Force. April 18, 1945. Landry's B-17 is limping back from Kolin, Czechoslovakia. The tanks are empty. Their base in England is too far. They divert to an alternate field in France, but when they get there, the field is fogged in. Zero visibility. Hundreds of aircraft are doing the same thing, circling the same patch of French countryside, all running out of time. Landry would recall decades later. "I don't know how many hundreds of planes might have gone down that day. We were skimming the treetops and the roofs of the houses, trying to find an airfield. Then the last engine dies. The crew moves to the back of the aircraft, away from the nose, away from the engines. Motors cut. The cockpit goes silent, except for wind. 10 men in the back of a powerless aircraft, dropping through French fog. And the co-pilot's face shows nothing. Not fear, not panic, not the look of a man about to put 30,000 pounds of dead aircraft into an unknown field. Nothing. They find a field. The aircraft goes in hard. The fuselage grinds across French earth for what feels like a lifetime. Then it stops. 10 men walk away. Every single one. After the war, after the University of Texas. After signing with the New York Giants organization as a defensive back, the football world does not see a war hero. They see a quiet man. Other coaches in that era are personalities. Vince Lombardi at Green Bay is volcanic. Paul Brown in Cleveland is ice-cold genius. George Halas in Chicago is old-school fire. And Tom Landry is what, exactly? Quiet, still, expressionless. His own players behind his back have a name for him: Stoneface. In 1960, the NFL expansion plan creates the Dallas Cowboys franchise. Landry is named their first head coach. Dallas, a city that doesn't care about professional football yet. A locker room full of cast-offs, retreads, and rookies who've been told, in various ways, that they're not quite good enough. The Cowboys go 0, 11, and 1 in their first season. 0 wins, 11 losses, 1 tie. The common wisdom in the NFL is, Landry will be gone within 3 years. They don't understand what they're looking at. They're looking at a man who has already held 10 lives in his steady hands at 20,000 feet over enemy territory, who already knows at the cellular level that the measurement of a leader is not what he does when things are going well. It's what his face shows when everything is falling apart. What Landry does in Dallas is not inspirational in any Hollywood sense. No speeches, no theatrics. He builds a system. He invents the flex defense, so conceptually complex that opposing coordinators spend 2 decades trying to decode it. While other defenses react, Landry's defense anticipates. While other units chase the ball, Landry's unit reads the formation and moves before the snap. Chess in a game everyone else plays as checkers. He installs a multiple-set offense that forces defenses to declare their intentions before the ball is even snapped. In the early 1960s, he is already playing 1980s football, and he does all of this quietly, without drama, without spectacle. Because Landry understood something most coaches never learn. Confidence is not a speech. Confidence is competence. Give a man complete mastery of what he's doing, and the fear takes care of itself. He learned that descending through French fog on a dead aircraft. You don't talk a dying plane to the ground. You fly it there. January 16, 1972. Super Bowl VI, New Orleans. Roger Staubach is surgical. The flex defense is smothering Miami. Don Shula, himself a genius, watches his Dolphins get taken apart piece by piece. Final score: the Dallas Cowboys 24, the Miami Dolphins 3. Tom Landry wins his first Super Bowl championship, and when the whistle blows, the cameras find him on the sideline. He nods. That's it. A single, small nod. Over 80,000 people erupt around him, and Stoneface gives the moment one quiet, dignified nod. The way a pilot might nod when the wheels touch the runway after a very long and very difficult flight. Because that's exactly what it was. Tom Landry coached the Dallas Cowboys for 29 seasons, 2 Super Bowl championships, 20 consecutive winning seasons from 1966 to 1985, Pro Football Hall of Fame. One of the 2 or 3 most important coaches in the history of American football. But here's what I want you to remember. Not the trophies, not the fedora, not the records. I want you to remember a 20-year-old kid from Mission, Texas, in the co-pilot seat of a dead aircraft, descending through fog over a French field, with 10 lives depending on the expression on his face. And I want you to remember, he was there. Not for adventure, not for glory, for Robert, for his brother, who went down over the North Atlantic and never came home. Here is the detail that stays with you. Landry almost never spoke about Robert, not to his players, not to the press. His wife Alicia only discovered he had a brother when she visited his parents' home and saw a photograph on the wall. She had to ask who it was. That is the kind of grief that doesn't announce itself. That quietly becomes the foundation everything else is built on. And for 29 years in Dallas, 60 men at a time got that same steadiness from their head coach, in losing seasons and winning ones, in August practices and January playoff games. Stoneface, the man who never panicked. They thought it was personality. They thought he was just built that way, cold, mechanical, robotic. They were wrong. He was a man carrying a grief so deep that everything else, every game, every loss, every crisis, felt small by comparison. And from that grief, he had built something extraordinary. The ability to be, in any moment of pressure, exactly what the people around him needed. Calm, present, unshakable. He proved that in a French field in the spring of 1945. He lived it every Sunday for 29 years. That is not a football story. That is the story of what loss can build in a man, if he lets it make him stronger instead of smaller. If Tom Landry's story gave you something today, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories like this, the ones history almost forgot to tell. And drop a comment. What hit you hardest, the war or the football? Ring that notification bell, because the next story we're bringing you hits even harder than this one. The quality of a man's life is in direct proportion to his commitment to excellence, regardless of his chosen field of endeavor. Tom Landry.